Isn't video.
Okay.
I think my voice is too loud.
It's okay. Okay. So what's good? Welcome to the Courage New podcast. My name is Des, and we have a special guest. We got Ness. She's my psister, and today we're going to talk about World's Mental Health Day. So World Mental Health Day is basically on 10/10, so it's October 10th, and it's a day to spread awareness as well as advocate and then talk about mental health. So that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
And Nessa actually had this idea because, we will always want to talk about mental health. She's a huge advocate for mental health. So first, we're going to start with why are you passionate about it? What do you like about mental health? Why hop on the podcast and talk about World Mental Health?
So what I do for work, I am a certified recreation therapist. So we both went to school for recreational therapy. So recreational therapy basically is learning about mental health skills, like leisure skills, coping skills, anger management. And that's basically the basis of anything, because you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of you. And I'm such a giver. I love giving back to the community, as you know. And I felt very burnt out a couple years ago, and I wanted to focus on mental health, which is how I found recreational therapy in the first place. And something that I'm very passionate about is mental health in the workplace and creating we need boundaries.
That,
you know,
you
can get very burnt out really fast. I'm such a yes person. I need to learn how to say no. And something about World Mental Health Day this year is that the theme is mental health in the workplace. So that's why I wanted to talk about this topic.
So what made you kind of advocate for mental health? Have you always had mental health problems, or what made you really fall in love of why I should talk about mental health?
Well, not necessarily mental health problems that I recognized as a kid, because you know how you live in a bubble as a kid.
Yeah.
I felt growing up, I went to school and I started recognizing things that weren't okay, and then I know that I wouldn't put I don't want to ever put myself through my past traumas again. I want to learn and heal and move on from that. And so with recreational therapy, I always advocate for therapy. So I go to therapy at least once or twice a month, depending on the month.
Damn, once or twice a month?
Yeah. Sometimes
really
sometimes it's even more when I just I need someone to vent to, and I don't want to trauma dump on my friends and family, because they'll feel that emotional consequences.
They're gonna want to take care of you, and if they can't, then they feel bad. That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel that post-secondary emotional stress, even if you don't feel it in the moment with your friends and family, you feel those consequences later on down the road when you don't talk to a professional.
Yeah. So because I need to go to therapy. I don't go to therapy. I feel I've had kind of bad experiences in therapy, but I do recognize that therapy is good. What is your experience with therapy, and what would you say to the people who are thinking about it, or just like me, thinking about it and know that it would be beneficial, had bad experiences, how to give it another try?
So actually, with my therapy journey started with SJSU. In school, I think you get 5 or 8 free sessions through SJSU through the Wellness Center. And that is actually that's student run. So it's a student in their master's program working to become a therapist.
Oh, I didn't even know.
So they're essentially therapists in training. So I didn't really have a good experience there.
Yeah,
I feel therapy is definitely a hit or miss. You have to keep trying and find that connection with your therapist.
True.
I think with BetterHelp, so I use BetterHelp for therapy, and I changed my therapist about a couple of times, 3 or 4 times before I found the therapist I found the connection with. You just have to keep going and keep trying.
Yeah. So how'd you feel when you had the first 1, 2, 3 therapists, and you're Because I feel like that too. Because I got a therapist at SGC just like you.
Yeah.
And the first one was good, but I couldn't like get her. And then the second one, you know, like she just invalidated my feelings, and she did like, what made you be like, oh, I'm gonna keep on trying even if like the first 1, 2, 3 like just didn't work out?
I think it's because I knew that I wanted to be in a profession that encouraged people to go to therapy, and if like I'm encouraging others to go to therapy, I needed to go myself. Like I can't just say you should go to therapy, it's good for your mental health. I need to be speaking from experience.
True that. I need to learn from that, because I mean, some people go to therapy, and I've been to therapy sometimes.
Sorry. Let me just.
You can ask it if you want. Hold on.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry, my mom was calling.
That's okay. What name? Your name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My mom's government name. Because
Damn!
if someone were to call you or like steal your phone, like, hey Siri, call mom, then they'll call your mom.
But it doesn't say mom.
Exactly. That's why if someone were to steal my phone, they can't be like, hey Siri, call mom. Hey Siri, call dad. Hey Siri, call Lola.
I'm thinking ahead of time.
Oh, sorry, Siri.
Mine's mommy heart. Okay. So in terms of, you know, mental health, and thank you for sharing that, because I think it's really, you know, inspirational and also like really important. Like you said, I can't advocate for mental health. I can't tell people to go to therapy if I don't know what it is. I've never experienced it. I've never been in that. So that's really good to know. It's also good to know for me too.
But you have experience. You just haven't found the right connection.
That's true.
Something that you can share and just encourage others to keep trying.
That's true. Yeah, and yeah, it's a learning experience for me too, because I know therapy. So what have you learned in therapy? Because I feel like therapy is the one biggest step that someone takes when trying to be aware for their mental health. Why, like, what have you learned specifically in therapy? So, how has it benefited you?
I feel like with our major, we learn about a lot of leisure coping skills and like what was that? Heart balance? I forget.
I know, like the meditation.
Yeah, the meditation. Like I felt like I needed like different tools than that. So in like therapy, I expressed to my therapist, I am a certified recreation therapist. These are the skills that I know. I'm just feeling like it's not becoming routine.
That's true.
So then they help me find a different perspective, because like you can always learn a different perspective of things. And so skills that I've learned, because I was having journaling burnout, which is so easy to like,
because you journal too much and then you're like, oh, I'm tired of it.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
So what I started doing was checking in with my emotions, like when I first wake up, like check in like how I'm feeling in the morning, write that down, and then check in at night, write that down, and then just check how I feel for a week, and then let's see if I can go back to my journal topics, or I'm just like, it's just an emotional check-in.
I think that's cool. How's that like emotional check-in been? Like, do you ever look at like how you are and you're like, wow, because I feel like my moods are everywhere and I can never tell when I'm happy or sad or
something that I believe in is not only journaling but reflecting what you journal. So at the end of each week, or like maybe 2 weeks if I skip a week, I read back on my journals and I reflect on like my journal topics, how I was feeling, and like, because you can write things down, but like, what are you gonna do with it now?
Yeah. Wow. So do you have like epiphanies? Because like that's why I feel like I journal, but I just kind of like forget about it, and sometimes I journal in like different ways, and then I still feel the same. Yeah. But that's real. Journal burnout. I never heard of that, to be honest.
It's a thing.
It's a thing?
Yeah. What? So sometimes like my journal is like a brain dump, or even as simple as a coloring sheet that says like, be kind to yourself.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Actually, a coloring sheet?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Because journaling doesn't even have to be just answering a question. Yeah. It could just be a worksheet.
That's true. Because honestly, I like to journal a lot, but sometimes I try to force myself to journal, and then I'm just like mad at myself. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to think. I don't want to do this. I don't want to I'm just, sometimes the anxiety is so high that even journaling doesn't help. So
I'm a huge advocate. If you don't feel like doing something,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Like, find something else that you're interested in doing, like maybe listening to music, maybe finding a podcast that you want to listen to, or like even just a simple like YouTube video, or even like, I don't know, just sitting there and being a potato. Like, why
sometimes
not?
we gotta like rot. Like sometimes I just kind of like just, but sometimes that could, because I rot on my phone, and sometimes it just doesn't help my mental health. Yeah, sometimes it's your phone that's the problem. So our parents were right, I guess. But I do want to talk about the topics of why it's important to talk about mental health, because we're both from a Filipino-American family. And I can agree, and this is like this for a lot of minority communities and our families, that mental health was like never a topic.
No, it's not.
Like, but I kind of want to talk about like, why do you think so? Why do you think?
Why do I think? Well, it's because I think with my mom and her siblings, I come from a really big Filipino family, and I think with them it was just always blown off and never talked about, because like they're like, I think with my grandparents, they just kept reminding them, you have so much to be thankful for. Like, you have all your siblings, we have food on the table, with a little elbow grease and a little bit of hard work, you can have everything you want. It's something that I feel like was always said when I was growing up. Yeah, that's me too.
It's all like, why are you sad? Like,
yeah, like people are worse off than you.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, you're right, Mom, but like,
you're dismissing my emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have the right to feel sad, but I feel like our family just always was all like, well, you can't be sad because like, what do you have to be sad for? Yeah. But I also think our parents were like that because they were treated like that.
Yeah, I also think it's something that they don't believe in. Like, mental health is just in your head, when it's actually like a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what's so beautiful about having this podcast, and also you talking about it, because we grew up to believe that mental health is just fake, and we're just making stuff on our head, and if we're sad we just can't talk about it, and you just have to go through life. But I feel like what I was taught was like, never talk about your mental health, and if you don't talk about it, it's just gonna go away. Yeah. And I don't think it goes away. Like, I think if we continue to run away from like the sadness and the fear and all these negative emotions, like, we're never gonna truly heal. Yeah. And the only way to heal is to talk about these things. Exactly. And to have a space. Exactly. So what do you think, and what would you say to the people who are watching this, of how could you talk about mental health when you feel like there's no spaces where you could talk about it?
I think is starting from you. Like, going to therapy, doing that journal, doing that thing for you that you feel like you should be doing, and being that example, because that's how I opened up the topics of mental health within my family. So like, earlier this year when I started like being consistent with therapy again, I opened up to it about like my mom, because obviously she knew I was really sad earlier this year. But I'm a lot better now.
Hell yeah, we up!
Exactly. But my mom knew that I was sad, and I didn't want to trauma dump on her. So obviously I needed to go find somebody, and I think she believes that it was helpful now. Yeah. And like, it's more so like, she understands that I'm just finding safe spaces to talk about my feelings because I don't want to cry in front of my mom. I know my mom doesn't want me to be sad. Like, all she says when I'm crying is like, don't cry, you're strong.
She's like, kaya mo yan. Kaya mo yan, anak.
Yeah, and then sometimes when my mom and my aunt are together and I'm crying, and my aunt's like, I don't want to look at you because I don't want to cry.
See, we have to normalize crying because like there's nothing wrong with crying. Like that crying is such a normal emotion, and we like have such a negative connotation of like, you're crying, you're weak. You know, you're crying, and for the people, you're even weaker. I'm like, why can't I just cry? Because I have those normal emotions.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's beautiful to hear that you've been having those conversations with your mom. And I think that's what it shows, that if you heal yourself, you heal your whole generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm also trying to, you know, think of myself, that as I heal myself and as I heal like the traumas that my family has put upon me, and realizing like, hey, these beliefs and these emotions and these values that, you know, that was taught to me aren't technically all true.
Yeah.
And we have the power to like change that. Yeah. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're talking to your mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like trying to talk to my mom too. Like, I think a few months, maybe a year ago, my mom asked me what was trauma. Like, she didn't know.
What was trauma?
Yeah, because she had to argue with my brother, and I guess they argued, and my brother was like, you gave me trauma, like what you did in the past, and my mom, stopped and was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't give you trauma. Like, what did I do? And like, so she called me, and she's like, Anak, what's trauma? Like, isn't it trauma something like really, really, really bad? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I was like, I've never gave him trauma. Like, what is he talking about? And I told her, I was like, trauma is not only something like severely bad. Trauma is like also like what you say to him, or what values you did, or like things that you specifically said to him as a child that can also be trauma. And I just think that speaks volumes to know that like we can't get mad at our family for giving us trauma, because they never understood it, and they never got to heal ourselves.
Yeah, they just didn't know any better.
Yeah, and I think it's just beautiful to see that like you are starting that like new lineage, and that new light, and that new,
well, it's not only
healing.
Me. Yeah. Me and my cousins we're a community, and I know that a lot of them are taking time for themselves, doing what they need to do, whether it's go to therapy, create space in our family from other family members, because that's just, I can love you, but I can love you from a distance. Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I actually really like that, because I think when it comes, especially Filipino families, just toxic, and and they're always like, oh, family's forever, like no matter what they do, like you have to forgive them because they're your family. But like, okay, but I don't have to like be all buddy up with you.
I mean, I feel like forgiveness is perspective. Like older generations in our families, like I feel like they perceive as forgiveness as forgetting about the past, but we see it as learning from our past mistakes, right? And like if that means creating space and just like make room for that love, right? Like that's okay. Like if you need to distance yourself and just see them during holidays, that's okay. Yeah. Like if you can only see them during their birthday, sure, why not?
Yeah. I think that's a really good perspective to look at, as like forgiveness is to learn from instead of forgetting, because that's so freaking true, because my family's like that. It's all like like if you bring it up, they're like, it's the past. Like, why are you so worrying about the past for? Like, that was so long ago. But like, I think looking at forgiving, even family members, to learn from what they did and not doing it too, like not kind of like continuing the cycle and kind of breaking the cycle. That's a beautiful perspective.
Cool. I also think that they are valid about like bringing up past traumatic experiences. Okay, it's just like, I think forgiveness is like fully letting go, fully healing and learning from it, but they were valid. Like, why?
That's true. You do make a point, because when you kind of like repeat it again and again and again, it's kind of like
not breaking the cycle.
That's true. So I have another question, and the question is, when you feel like your mental health is going really bad in certain parts of your life, what do you do? So how do you take care of your mental health specifically?
So I have a routine, and I work out at 6:15 in the morning.
Damn, girl. She sounds up and early.
Exactly. On
That's
most days.
That's really good.
For like 3 to 4 times a week, and then I go to yoga at least 1 time a week, and I do stick with that routine as much as I can, because especially when my mental health is like going awry and I'm crying and I feel like a mess, at least I know that I have those safe spaces to like release the energy that I need to release, and I'm not releasing it on other areas in my life. Like, maybe something happens at work and then I get easily upset. Which actually happened today, but I like walked away.
That's good.
I walked away and like stood in my office, and I reflected, like, why did that make me so upset? And it only made me upset because it wasn't the time or place for the conversation. But then, like, I knew that I needed to calm down, and we could just talk about it later.
And that's growth too, because I feel like a lot of people, base their reaction on emotions. So I think that's a lot of growth, girl, that you could walk away and be like, okay, like, let me reflect on myself.
Yeah, because I didn't want to call them out. Like, I wanted to, like, I was like ready to say something.
Like,
I was like, okay, I need to walk away. That's too much.
Yeah, because when you say your emotions like right away, it can also cause something bigger, and you don't want to cause something like a big conflict, especially at work. I hate work drama. Work drama is like so unnecessary sometimes. So like, why are you arguing? Like, we could just like communicate, slash it out, and just do our work. Like, we're here to work and make money and serve the community, because we both work for the community. And some people are just, I don't know.
Lost her words.
I'm not gonna say it. Okay, so this is one more question. If you were to talk to your younger self that was so confused about mental health and didn't know about mental health, what do you think you would say?
Be okay with trying and learn to let go. Because I feel like my younger self, like, I found myself like trying certain things that I wanted to do and getting frustrated easily when it didn't work out.
That's true.
But I'm just like, why did I just keep trying? Because even if you're not good at something, if you keep trying and working at that skill, like, you'll get better eventually. Like, eventually it doesn't have a timeline. But that's okay if that's something that you're interested in doing. And learning to let go, because I would get upset at myself about like the little mistakes that I would make, or like be hard on myself on like, oh, I shouldn't have said it that way. Why did I say it that way? Or like, oh my gosh, my message has a typo. Like,
you're overthinking.
But it's just like, who cares about the typo? We're only human. And like, at the end of the day, like, if someone points out your typo, who cares?
I was like,
okay, thank you. And then send a correction.
Yeah. That's okay. That's beautiful, because I think there's so many things I could say to my younger self, but it's true. And that's the same thing for mental health. Is like, even if you feel like your healing is not going anywhere, keep on trying. Even if journaling doesn't work, keep on trying. Even if therapy doesn't work the first 1-2 times, keep on trying. Because I think us as humans, like, I'm like that too. Like, when I try something and I don't do well the first time, I'm like, oh, this is not for me. Like, I hate it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's the same thing with mental health. Like, sometimes you try to share with somebody about your mental health and they shut it down, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't stop trying to like advocate and talk about it and share your story. Okay. And one last question: what is advice that you would give to anyone who's watching this about anything about mental health. Like, if you were to end one message with the people, what would you say?
Like, my last message, like, what would I say to the people? Prioritize yourself. Because without being able to prioritize yourself, creating your boundaries, whether it's work, school, family, like, you can only do so much. And then you're gonna feel like very overwhelmed, anxious, like sad, and then you're gonna feel like you have nowhere to go. But like, at the end of the day, like, all healing and growth starts with you.
That's true.
Right?
Wow.
And
That's true.
just my last message is, at the end of the day, prioritize yourself.
Period.
Because no one's gonna be like, for example, like,
no one's gonna tell you to take care of yourself. No one's gonna be like, hey, you should do this and you should work out and you should,
no one's gonna look bad about you, like, for prioritizing yourself.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
Like, even if you cancel a meeting, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
no, yeah.
Right? You need extra time for yourself.
Yeah,
like,
that's
no
true.
one's gonna be like, oh, sorry. Like, can I please reschedule this meeting? I just need a couple extra minutes to myself.
Yeah. And I feel like everyone should be able to try to advocate for themselves, because advocating for yourself and advocating for mental health is advocating for the whole entire thing.
Exactly.
You know, and again, like, it all starts with you. Yeah. There's no one in the world that can tell you what to do or tell you what to think, and tell you how to heal. Healing is not linear. Healing is not the same for you and me. Healing is not the same for every single person.
No, it's
individual. And I feel like that's what a lot of people kind of don't realize, that, working out at 6:15 in the morning is really good for you, but if someone else does it and they realize that, like, it doesn't work for me, so there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. It's individual, and it's beautiful to realize that, and realize that, like, I should stop comparing myself, stop comparing my healing journey to everyone else around me.
I'm healing your journey, period.
Yeah. Stop comparing, and just focus on you. Take care of yourself. Cool.
You only got yourself at the end of the day.
That's true. That's true. You live alone. You don't live alone, die alone. But cool. Thank you for being on this podcast with me. Yes, World Mental Health Day is on October 10th. So if you like to share anything, anyone, about your thoughts, emotions, feelings, stories, don't be afraid to share it. And see y'all next time. Deuces. Bye. Yeah, I hope this recorded.
Oh my god, if it didn't.
No, wait. Did it? It should have recorded.